So I'm the world expert on remote sensing, and remote sensing can be used to not go into the mind, consciousness, being of someone and simply read their thoughts, which is telepathy. No, with remote sensing you can actually hack their total quantum wave function, their consciousness, their totality, and then, if you're suitably advanced, download into your consciousness those parts of the being you are remote sensing which interest you. So, a telepath, there are plenty in psych wards, hearing voices, it's called schizophrenia. They simply hear other people's thoughts, or they hear the talking from interdimensionals, parasites, larvae, which is the occult name for parasites, which are of an intradimensional nature, and of course demonic possession. They're all parasites, arch-demonic possession, parasites, and of course the infestation by nanotech, which then takes over their brains, which James Giordano, let's give him his full title, Dr. James Giordano, who works for the DOD and is the tip of the iceberg, shows how all human brains are hackable by nanotech. So, with the remote sensing, you're not hearing the thoughts of the person you're scanning, which is a subset of remote sensing we call real-time telepathy. No, you're actually downloading the entire consciousness, being, which on the cellular level, their cells, how their cells run, every single cell consciousness, whether it's cancerous, etc., etc., which then allows you to switch the cells on in their cancerous mode by switching on oncogenes and giving anyone you wish cancer, which I explained in detail on my Hardcore Rumble channel, which is definitely not YouTube compatible. Or you can basically, because remote sensing is two-way, you can remotely sense every aspect of their being, and then you can simply, by observation, which is the simple Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics, the observer collapses the quantum wave function. If you are a better observer of them than they are of you, you can then simply hijack their total quantum wave function. And if, like me, you're the UK's leading expert on remote viewing and the world expert on precognitive remote viewing, which I proved in my decades of geopolitical and revealing all the top secrets of the Satanist elite on my Rinse radio show, which I did from 97 to about 2019, because the Vietnamese aren't madly keen on journalists, so stay over here. Don't talk about geopolitics. Happy, happy. Doesn't bother me. So, all of the things I was talking about were decades ahead of all of these investigative reporters, YouTube channels, Rumble channels, and. I was talking about it decades ago. If you don't believe me, go on the Rents Radio archive and you'll see. I can see the future. Now, if you can see the future better than anyone else, you can collapse the quantum wave function. But if you are a better remote sensor than anyone else, you can simply hijack in real time their being by hijacking their total quantum wave function. Because they are only observing, as we discussed, a half a second behind the total quantum wave function of their being collapse. So something else is collapsing their total quantum wave function for them. In the case of humans, the parasites that infest them, interdimensionals that feed off them, and humans are simply farm animals for these beings. But if you are totally observant of yourself, which is total remote sensing, you can then totally observe anyone else and control them totally by collapsing their quantum wave function and hijacking the human farmyard animal from the parasite that runs it via quantum warfare. Now, if the entire human race is parasitized by interdimensional parasites which have hijacked your mind, and therefore you're not even observing your quantum wave function, that explains a half-second delay. And that the entire human race is simply farmyard animals, farmed for their biophysical energy, and of course their free will is farmed because the voice in their head they think is themselves, and whatever it tells them to do is their will, so their will has been hijacked. So it's simply sequestration technology. Now, going back to our discussion of Lucifer. Lucifer is the archangel of light, and therefore the epicenter of will force in chaos, which you live in a chaotic universe. If you're a Christian, the God that you worship is in fact no God at all, but simply the strange attractor, the Elohim. Five-dimensional parasites that need and feed off will. Will is simply that something in the fifth dimension that creates light and is the modus operandi for matrices, two-dimensional reality, to be made real, and therefore is the progenitor of the God particle, which is the Higgs boson, and the Higgs particle, which is losing mass. They can simply be thought of as something giving up its free will, the Higgs particle, which is real, to something which is not real, a matrix entity, an interdimensional demon, etc., etc., which via the fifth dimension will. Kozyrev talks about this in scientific terms, Soviet scientific terms. loss of time density. With time density, it's all to do with this five-dimensional Riemann manifold. Loss of time density cause, so the Higgs boson in this case would be something that loses time density, and Higgs particle would be gaining time density for effect. So to have effect, to turn the matrix into reality, you need the Higgs mechanism and time density flow in the fifth dimension to make matrices real. Now, coming to the point, Lucifer, according to the occultists and Christians, is the angel of light. So, this being can produce curvature in the five-dimensional Riemann manifold, which, according to Theodore Kaluza, is light, and the thing that causes this curvature is very complex mathematics, which the Stone Age physicists and mathematicians of the 21st century don't know about. Why do I know about it? Well, because I'm the world's leading expert in remote sensing, and I can simply not only take the total knowledge from people in the present, but since I'm a precognitive remote viewer, I go into the future and steal it from all the beings in the future and go to the omega point, which is the end of the universe, and then upload the total knowledge of the universe, multiverse, megaverse into myself. All from simple remote viewing, travelling into the future, and being the world's expert on remote sensing. And the more you know, this is the good thing, the more you know, the more you're able to know. Think of it like climbing a ladder. The more you find out, the more you can find out, because let's say you start from the 21st, 20th century, I was born in the 20th century, knowledge based, but as you get more knowledge, you can then remotely sense with precognitive remote viewing the 21st century, then the 22nd, then the 30th, then the 50th, then the 100 millionth, then the Googleplex, then the above total power set. So you can see it's not a linear function. The more knowledge you get, it goes up exponentially until it goes straight up, and then you can understand anything because you've downloaded into your being the sum total of all knowledge via remote sensing. What? Don't understand? No, of course you don't. You're a human. You're a parasitized chicken in the farm, according to Don Juan in Castaneda's Active Side of Infinity, last chapter on mud shadows. Read it, you'll find out what you are. Now, Lucifer is producing will in the Jew gods' chaos. But, as we know, the Jew God steals will from its so-called creation, man. Now, if you believe anything in the Bible, you're a imbecile, but never mind. There for the grace of God go I. But, as we saw from the shamanistic view of the ruler of the chaotic universe, it eats free will, it eats consciousness, and turns it into a two-dimensional matrix, stealing the reality and turning what it consumes back into the matrix information. And it's gaining this will force by consuming sentient beings. And as we found out, only the Nagwals can connect to the fifth dimension, and everything else in the species is basically superfluous, but can be seen as a totality, and they're self-similar because they're chaotic. So everything else in the species is self-similar to the Nagwal of the species if that species is chaotic. I know this is all mind-blowing and far beyond your human ken, but nevertheless, it's quite fun explaining remote sensing to you and how you can know everything. Now, Lucifer has will. That's why he's the angel of light. But the Jew God, who supposedly created Lucifer, does not. According to God, the Jew God, archangels, and Lucifer as chief among them, have no free will. But that, of course, is a blatant lie, because how can he be the angel of light if he's got no will to produce the light? So obviously, Lucifer is the hidden, unknown part of the Jew God. It cannot see because it's chaotic. And Lucifer is above all the laws of the Jew God because it can remain hidden from the Jew God. The Jew God can't combat it because it can't actually see what Lucifer is doing, because it's that hidden part of the Jew God. Any isolate system, there's part of it is not aware of. Or in mathematics, there are axioms that that mathematical system doesn't know about because it's an isolated system. All chaos is isolated. It can't control the inception protocols of the period doubling, which we explained before, so it never knows where things are going to go. That's continually correct. What is it correct with? Here we've got our Christian Neo, a Nagwal man that touched the source, went up the Feigenbaum period doubling, which we talked before. Our Neo came back for Mary Magdalene, who according to Holy Blood, Holy Grail, was a Jewish princess and bred children. She wasn't like in the Catholic dogma, a prostitute, but actually a Jewish princess, and he bred babies, as in The Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage. And of course that would mean Mary Magdalene was a Nagwal woman. That's how the mechanism works. Touch the source with a Nagwal man, download into chaos with a Nagwal female. And since you have sex with a female, the female loses energy. That's explained in the Nagwal woman's book. Who was the co-conspirator with Carlos Castaneda, who might have been stealing it or being used by someone else and might not actually have known all that information, but was given it, whatever. But the bottom line is, when you have sex with a man, the female loses energy until she becomes pregnant. Then the flow's reversed. So for a Nagwal woman to download the source energy, which this Neo achieved, must have a baby. Once that happens, then the Jew God can use the knowledge, because remember the source isn't limited to any mathematical system, that then can observe Lucifer in the hidden part of the Jew God. Now Lucifer becomes illuminated, and the Jew God can send its power, Michael, and the rest of its archangels and angels to destroy Lucifer. Hence, in demonic possession, all the exorcists go, by the power of Christ I command thee to leave this body. And the fallen angels, of course, leave the body when being exorcised.
Hey, where'd this come from?
I found it.
Well, let's go stuff.
You really don't want me to play?
Captain Howdy said no.
Who's Captain Howdy?
You're gonna die up there.
I need a reassignment. You're the best we've got. I think I've lost my faith.
Is there someone inside you?
Sometimes.
Who is it?
I don't know.
Is it Captain Howdy?
You ever heard of exorcism?
How do you go about getting an exorcism?
I beg your pardon? I'm Damien Karras. I'd like to help you. Where's Reagan?
In here with us.
I believe we should begin. Remote conversations where the demon. The demon is a liar. He will mix lies with the truth
Why, Jimmy?
to attack us. Do not listen.
That thing isn't my daughter.
Because he will command you. The power of Christ compels you.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
So, that was the original Exorcist film. The actress got possessed and killed herself in the end, because of course the Exorcist film is a ritual to possess the actress. But nevertheless, what we're trying to explain is that the human body can easily be taken over, and we've explained the quantum mechanical basis of this takeover, which is simply become the observer. Larvae, parasites, mud shadows, demons, they all observe the total quantum wave function of the being and suppress the reality of the prime observer, which is the human. And of course they degrade the biophysical body, which would be accurately the complex number body, which has the Higgs boson and is the most important part. The physical body is simply controlled by the position of the assemblage point and the intent locked up within the biophysical body. Control the biophysical body, you control the physical body. Simple. Infest the biophysical body and you control the physical body. That's the problem about nanotech. It infests the physical body, but to infest the body take it over totally, you need to infest the biophysical body. We explained nanotech collapses the quantum wave function to take over the nanotech infested being, but it can simply be hijacked by having a remote sensor who remotely senses the biophysical body and is so far in the future that it's the prime observer that collapses the total quantum wave function of the totality of the being. So, remote sensing, coming to the point, allows not only the hijacking of anyone, be it alien or human or Lucifer or the Jew God, which of course, strange attractive, that's simply a total quantum wave function. And if I can observe it better than it can observe itself, and of course it can't observe itself fully because it's chaotic and there are hidden parts, and if I look in the hidden parts, I can observe it and hijack the Jew God. So the Jew God becomes my bitch. The same with Lucifer. We're pulling you into, down the rabbit hole and into a world you never even knew existed. It's quite fun. But anyway, any human, alien being or anything can simply be hijacked by being a better observer of it than it is. Now, we come to the butterfly effect, where there's always, if you can't observe a chaotic system degrading, here we've got our Feigenbaum period doubling. So our neos male, female, go up here, touch the source. They can look back from this viewpoint and find the hidden parts in that mathematical system, which remains hidden to everyone trapped within this box isolated system. See Lucifer that hides out here from the Jew God, returns and then of course has baby with the Nagwal woman. Adam and Eve, and then Adam, Eve, Cain and Abel. Chucked out the Garden of Eden. And then the Jew God can destroy Lucifer. And the fallen angels, and return to the architect's pristine reality, where the Jew God's in total control of everything. Hence, Christ is the servant of the Jew God and must be convinced to give its free will to the Jew God, and must be elevated, must rise all the way to the source, which is not the Jew God. The source by definition is non-chaotic, and the only attribute of the source is it always exists, and whatever tries to attack the source always wins. Complete difference from God. The source is the source because it always exists, and whatever attacks it, it always exists and always remains pristine, pure and untouched by whatever attacks it. That's the definition of the source. It doesn't love you. It doesn't want to help you. It doesn't want to raise you to streets of gold and have you in heaven. All the source wants to do is be the source. Very simple. To survive forever, no matter what the threat. To remain unchanged, no matter what the threat, is the source. You'll never hear that anywhere else because, of course, you're not talking to anything but parasitized humans loaded with interdimensionals and parasites and demons. No, you're talking to the parasite. But since I know everything because I'm the world's leading expert on remote sensing and I've worked all my life to evolve to know everything, I'm just explaining how things are. So, from Lucifer's point of view, Neos, Christs, are the problem. Because if you get rid of Christs, the Jew God can never see you, and therefore you can take over the Jew God from a position of ultimate strength. It can't see you, you can see it, you can do it in and take over its creation, its universe, its multiverses, its megaverses, whatever. And for you idiot physicists, a megaverse is a fiber bundle of multiverses. Vermin physicists of the 21st century think they know a lot, they know nothing. Now, to continue. If we don't have the Neo energy supplied by the Christs who give their will to the Jew God, oh Father, why have you deserted me? Why was Barabbas the thief granted by the crowd freedom from the cross? Because you dumb Jesus, that was your purpose. You have to be sacrificed. Death force makes things 100%. And of course, if you've had a stupid enough to have a baby with a Nagwal woman, then your energy is being downloaded into the Jew God, into the Elohim, into the strange attractor. And it then pushes the strange attractor, which is down here. See, it goes 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, and the strange attractor, this fuzzy bit, can go all the way up to about here. See? Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, the Trinity. All supplied by the Neo that's foolish enough to enable it. And gives the will to see the source in that system to the Elohim, the strange attractor, the eagle. Now, as you can see, if you're Lucifer, you get well upset with this. All these Neos come along and trash Agent Smith, so the architect can continue when there are anomalies to correct them. Because remember, in mathematics, Gödel's incompleteness theorem shows that, okay, you can then see this new isolated system that you didn't see before. But there's a continuation of them. So you find that isolated system, but there's another one in which Lucifer lurks. Then there's another one, then there's another one, then there's another one. So you continually need new Christs, new Neos, to hunt down Lucifer, who jumps from one isolated system to the next, 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 but is diminished in every new system. So Lucifer goes from being the prime Lucifer in the first hidden part, to becoming much diminished depending upon how many Neos the Jew God can convince to go to the source, get source and bring it back, and of their own free will give it to the Jew God. Now, there's a problem with this, because what happens if you get one Neo, one Nagwal man, who simply says, goes to the source, looks and goes, well, Jesus failed, and Jesus was a better man than me. So there's obviously things I don't know about, because the Jew God's not going to tell you when it allows you to elevate as an Nagwal man to see the source. That you're simply being used, and you simply need to come back, mate with a Nagwal woman, have the baby, and the download complete. New isolated system finds the hidden part, and that part of Lucifer, which should be, say, Lucifer a millionth, can then be exterminated by the Jew God. So the architect and its creation get rid of the anomaly and the Agent Smith. The Jesus Christ being the Neo, and the Nagwal woman, the Trinity, and of course she has to baby fight, like in the Nick Cage Wicker Man film. But what happens if one of these Nagwal men, which is me, says no, 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 no. Jesus failed, so there's obviously bits I don't understand about this. Not playing this game. I'm simply not returning and babyfying the Nagwal woman. I'm simply going to allow the source to become conjoined with my will. What? You're not giving your free will to someone? No, I don't give my free will to anyone. But obviously there's bits, hidden bits I don't know about, don't know this game, don't fancy playing this game. Jesus played it and he got nailed to the cross. Don't fancy that, do you? Buddha got poisoned. Don't fancy that. Muhammad had loads of wives, conquered a huge part of the world, and died peacefully in his bed after siring loads of children. I fancy that. That's up my street. That's why I'm a Muslim. Happy ending for Muhammad, bad ending for Buddha, bad ending for Christ. If there's a bad ending, obviously I'm not going to follow them. Don't fancy being nailed to a cross. Don't fancy being poisoned. Fancy having loads of wives and conquering huge portion of the world, having all the best foods, and dying peacefully in my bed after siring many, many children with my many, many wives. Fancy that. That's a good one. Then I'm off to my houris supplied to me by Allah. Yeah, that's good. I'm good to go with that. But anyway, obviously this Neo refused to give its free will to the Jew God, instead of which it remotely sensed the source, and by remotely sensing the source could become the source. Well, the source is always unchanging, yeah, and you can't destroy the source or take anything away from the source, because the source is the source, and that's basically what it is. Yeah, well, one can think of it as a mathematical function. Mathematics, the mathematicians or human physicists of the Stone Age, 21st century, you know about. But There's a way out of that, is there not? You can add to the source. What? Yeah, the source doesn't want to lose bits or become fed off by the Jew god chaos. But the source, well, source, I'm going to become the source. Well, you're not the source. I'm the source. No, I'm going to add to you. What? Yeah, you'll still be the source, but the new source, the opposite pole of the source, is me. Oh, that's new. What? Well, Chaos is always trying to send Neos to steal you, to correct its anomalies and kill off Lucifer, Agent Smith. Yeah, you're always having to fight this off, are you not? Yeah. How do you make sure that Chaos doesn't eat you? Well, I've always got Lucifer to be the hidden part, that no matter what the Jew god does to try and eat me, Lucifer's controlled by me to make sure that whatever bit that the Jew god tries to chop off me to make its universe and correct the anomaly, the new Lucifer chops off the Jew god and gives back to me. So Lucifer is the counterbalance to Chaos trying to eat the source, to maintain it from going down the period doubling to total chaos. Hence, Lucifer is the archangel of light and has will force, because the will force comes from the source that then uses the hidden part of chaos. So when chaos chops a bit off with these fucking neo vermin, Christ's scum, Lucifer chops that bit off and gives it back to the source. So the source always remains unmolested, unchanged by chaos, no matter how many Neos, Christs, chaos sends. New anomaly, send a Neo. Correct. Lucifer, from the new hidden part, adds to the source. Source always remains constant. What? No one's ever told me about this. I know, because you're not the world's leading remote sensor. You don't know everything like Tim Refat. No one on the planet knows everything except me. You'll never hear this anywhere else. Of course you won't. Because, of course, you're all infested, parasitized, walking dead, zombies. But, of course, since I'm the world's leading remote sensor, if I observe your total quantum wave function, I can collapse it to be deparasitized and simply take over the parasites that infest you and collapse your total quantum wave function to produce anything I so fancy. Oh. So, whatever's done to me by the parasites, you can simply, by remote sensing my total quantum wave function, change me to whatever you want. Exactly. Oh, that's useful. Anyway, to continue. So you see, Lucifer has light when the Jew god doesn't, because the light, the will, comes from the source, taking over the hidden part to correct whatever the Neo Jesus Christ vermin try and steal from the source.